BXB. It's in the game.
It's hard to believe that we are literally days away from the 5th anniversary of Skyrim originally being released on the Xbox 360, PC and PS3. It's crazy that this game has been around for that long and has already sold over 20 million copies worldwide. So obviously, after 20 million copies, Bethesda went, you know what, we could do with a few more. I think it's time we put it out on Xbox One and PS4. So this is kind of my review, and kind of my wife's review as well, of Skyrim. She's my guest with me today on Xbox One. Though it's not exactly going to be a review because, well, what is there to say about Skyrim at this point? After 5 years, it's quite fair to say, I would think, that if you were going to have played this game, you probably would have. And if you are new to gaming and consoles and stuff, now is a great time to check it out. Like I said, it's come to Xbox One, and it's weird because the first thing I noticed when I went back and looked at the Skyrim is like, I thought it looked better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's sort of this weird nostalgia hindsight thing that if you actually, and I brought up some footage of it and looked at it, no, it looked like crap.
No, it did.
It looks way worse, and it looks much better now.
Oblivion looked worse than that, and then this looked just amazing.
Yeah, it looks loads better, doesn't it? So basically, what we're not going to go through Skyrim. You are the Dragonborn. You have a quest. You have a main story thing. You've got to save the Northern Realms, Skyrim, from the Dragon Lords returning, and you're the Dovahkiin, and you can have dragon shouts and powers, and you can level up and customize your character and wield weapons and swords and bows and axes and magic and being a thief and all kinds of things that you'd expect from Skyrim. And that's what Skyrim is, and you customize your character, and it's an Elder Scrolls game. It's an Elder Scrolls game, but in a way, I kind of like, this isn't what we're doing here right now. I want to talk to my wife about how Skyrim and Oblivion and the Elder Scrolls series really made her into a gamer.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit how that happened?
Well, I was watching you play Oblivion when we first got the 360, and I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. And then about 200 hours later, yeah, it's a really cool game. So I was really excited when Skyrim came out, and then I wasn't so excited because I didn't like it as much as Oblivion. I think because Oblivion was my proper first game, and but now I'm having so much fun in Skyrim, mostly going around picking flowers a lot, which my husband finds really weird.
It does my head in. You basically can't walk down a road in Skyrim without putting your finger in every bush.
Well, it's got to be done.
You just have to pick every flower you find, and all the mushrooms as well. You're obsessed with mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
It's bewildering to me. See, whereas it's interesting, the biggest new addition we've got here in the special edition on consoles is the addition of mod support. Something obviously PC gamers have always been able to have, but especially when you first played Skyrim back on the 360, that was a dream. You could never have that. So, but very differently though. I got you to try out some mods. You didn't like it.
No. I mean, I didn't mind so much the ring that I got, which was I have basically unlimited magicka. That was fine. But then we tried this dwarven cube, which basically gave you everything you could ever need. And I just found there is actually no point in leaving this cube.
No, yeah, you kept saying that, but I think what mods do for me is it gives a sort of a fresh bit of life to a game you've already put hundreds and hundreds of hours in. I think I was in hundreds of hours territory with Skyrim original 360. Didn't do as much in Oblivion, but no, I basically did all the main story, loads of the side stuff, all the DLC in Skyrim, absolutely, caned it. And I think what the mods are going to give me is that I don't have to mess around, doing that stuff. There's actually some amazing stuff, which is like new story content, new narrative stuff. It's not just cheats. There's a lot of creativity that's gone in there. A lot of stuff to do with things like playing with character models, and even there's like an unofficial patch that fixes a lot of the bugs. And I will say this, and it's already been brought up a little bit, I've noticed on the internet and stuff, is that Skyrim is kind of buggy. This edition is kind of buggy actually. You've got clipping issues, you've got creatures getting stuck in the world, just jank, just weird jank you wouldn't expect. You'd expect it to be a bit more polished at this point.
I don't see that as being any different than Oblivion or Skyrim the first time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, don't you think now with this re-release, you know, they've gone back and prettied the game up. That they've done certain things like with lighting, but at the same time, though, there's like textures don't look great at times. You know, really, they're like, why didn't you go through and clean some of this up?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes snow on trees don't look that good. And I've gone past the occasional deer that's half sunk into the ground. It's only crashed on me once, though, which I think was quite good.
You know, that's without any mods, though,
Yeah.
being used. And I've got a bucket load of mods currently running on mine, and I'm always trying to test it to breaking point of what it can take. But, you know, I don't find stability has been a big problem, but there's certain graphical things, like the fact that there's, like, popping occurring. You know, you're walking across a landscape, and maybe the far distance looks good, but you're seeing foliage and trees popping into existence in front of you. Now, this doesn't ruin the experience of the game. Skyrim is still fun, and it still plays in the way you remember it, which is not always the best. I mean, you know, you try and control and like have combat in third person, you're gonna have a struggle. Even in first person, sometimes, you know, I'm struggling to do things, especially when I've got used to maybe how other more modern games are playing and controlling, even if it's just Fallout. You know, but things, you know, Bethesda has improved things. So this is still a game from 5 years ago, and you're playing this and you're going, wow, you know what, even after that short amount of time, RPG mechanics and just games have come a long way, you know, in accessibility.
I was playing Destiny for loads before this, driving you to distraction probably, and it just, even just the jumping, I've got used to Destiny jumping, and now I can't jump at all, and it's a bit sad.
Well, I mean, it's comparing a shooter to an open world sort of experience, but Destiny is interesting because of course it has allusions to being an MMO. It's also the reason you probably like it so much is it's very clever mishmash of fantasy and science fiction tropes. It's actually at its core, I think, really it's a fantasy game, but it's like disguised as science fiction to almost make it a little bit more palatable. But it's a really clever mix that works so well. But yeah, you can definitely see the improvements in game design and just how things work. I still think Skyrim's got some really almost overly minimal menus, which make them incredibly accessible, but at the same time, it's a little bit stark.
Yeah, I did prefer Oblivion with the wheel, and I've said this before to you. I don't like the linear way that
It's
Skyrim,
lots of lists,
lots of
lists and lists of white on black text, and it's all very just clean, and it pulls you out of the world a little bit.
Yeah, I mean the Oblivion ones were stylized for the world. It looked like a cog or a wheel. That was
I think perhaps what they did with Skyrim was they put like this interesting stylistic choice that was made outside of the game environment almost. Like they went, oh, you know, let's have this clean look. Let's make it very minimal. Let's like pare everything back. And you know, it would have been nicer if maybe there was some like, you know, the parchment and scroll runes and iconography that could have grabbed you and pulled you in a little bit more. You've also been taking in lots of screenshots, which we'll be showing some throughout this as we talk about it and stuff.
I mean, although we said some of the textures and stuff aren't as good as modern games, it's still really pretty. It's
a really pretty game, especially the lighting when you use sky boxes and the environmental stuff. You know, character models not so much. Yeah. And then some of the mods actually address character models and faces and eyes and things like that. I'm trying them out, and they obviously focus a lot on the ladies because most mod designers are probably dudes.
Probably.
So that's okay, fair dues. But obviously the console, one of the big rules on console is there's no nudity allowed in the mods on the console version. What a shame. No nude adventuring for me and my high elf.
It'd be a bit chilly.
There's a lot of snow on the ground in Skyrim. It would perhaps be a bit chilly. So I guess to draw this review to a close, it's great that this is now available on the current generation of hardware. It's great that, you know, there have been some improvements, even if it's not like a night and day. It doesn't look like a current generation, you know, AAA release.
No.
It doesn't. It just won't. But you know, the mods are in there. That adds lots of more possibilities and options as a player to play around with things and mess around with things. And you know, it's Skyrim. You've probably played it before. You either missed that, you want to go back to that, or you know, if by some chance you haven't played this, damn well play this game. It's amazing. You're going to lose hundreds of hours to this. So I think, you know, it's a difficult one to score. It's definitely it's a good game. It's a bit broken. It's not a perfect game. So I'm going to give this a solid. And I hope you agree with this. A solid, fair 4 out of 5 stars.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. We're back soon with more.
BXB. It's in the game.